Are you struggling to scale because your team just doesn't seem to follow the process? What if the real issue isn't your people, but your lack of a clear documented workflow? On the next episode of Profit with a Plan, I'll be sitting down with Errol Allen, founder of Errol Allen Consulting and the master at simplifying complex operations. Errol's going to break down his three essential steps to process documentation, which is a powerful framework that improves collaboration, boosts morale, and drives consistent results. You're going to learn why proper documentation beats micromanagement every time, how team-based flow charting leads to smarter scalable systems, and why creating SOPs is the last thing on your list, not the first step. And who should own that process documentation journey? Hint, it's not just the ops. This episode of Profit with a Plan is for business owners ready to get out of the chaos and into control. So join us. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we help you scale smarter, increase profitability, and build a business that's worth more, whether you keep it or sell it. I'm Marcia Riner, business growth strategist and profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to turn their businesses into highly profitable and sale-ready assets, so they enjoy more income now and a bigger payday later on. So join me for practical strategies, expert insights, and proven steps to make your business more profitable, more valuable, and built to last. By the way, today's episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. And before we dive in, I've got something new and special for you. What if your entire marketing system could run smarter, faster, and simpler starting today? Well, the Profit Booster Marketing Hub is built for busy business owners who want to make better leads, smarter automations, and more sales without hiring a team or learning complicated tech. For a limited time, you can get 30 days free to try out the full suite at profitbooster.biz. No credit card required. You'll finally have one place to attract and convert more prospects, stay consistent with your social media and your email marketing, automate your follow-ups without sounding robotic, and book more appointments directly into your calendar and stop duct taping everything together. So if you've been waiting for an easier way to market your business, this is it. Go claim your free 30-day trial at profitbooster.biz. All right, let's jump into today's episode. My guest today is Errol Allen. He's the founder and CEO of Errol Allen Consulting. He's a highly accomplished professional in the field of operations consulting. With a wealth of experience and expertise in optimizing business processes, Errol has consistently delivered outstanding results for his clients. With a keen eye for identifying inefficiencies and a passion for driving operational excellence, Errol has become the trusted advisor to numerous organizations. He specializes in helping businesses to streamline their operations, improve their productivity, and achieve sustainable growth. Welcome, Errol, to Profit with a Plan podcast. I'm excited to have you on today.
Well, thank you, Marcia. I'm glad to be here with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, so I always like to ask this question, how did you get into operations and this kind of thing? I mean, usually you don't come out of school and go, this is it, right? How'd you get here?
Well, I was fortunate, a lot of my corporate career, I was like in the midst of operations, so I was fortunate. And then it's just the way my head works. Uh,
That's it.
it's just the way my head works. I was always one to ask questions, they should have never taught me who, what, when, where, how, and why in elementary school. Because it's just the way my head works. So when I left corporate America, I asked myself, what are you going to do? And then I asked myself, When was I having the most fun?
Mm.
And it was when I was an operations analyst for a company here in Houston. And I all I did all day long was look at processes, how we did what we did. The GM had said to me, "Hey, I want you to look at how we're doing what we're doing because it's a mess." And what he didn't know was he was just telling me to go have fun because,
No, I love it.
right. So here I am.
I love it. That's the greatest joy to my heart that we spend so much of our time, energy, effort, money, life in our business. Why not do something that you enjoy,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And I love the fact that that's just the way your head works. And
Mhm.
when you ask those important questions, you're like, How does this work? Wait a minute, what's broken?" And this is like one of the biggest profit levers you can pull in your business. And it's so overlooked.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
kicked to the side. So I'm glad your corporate person said, "Hey, we everything's broken, let's fix it." And in comes the expert.
It's just fun for me, Marcia.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so with that in mind, how do you start to look at processes? Do you start at the end? Do you start in the middle? Do you start at the beginning? Where do you start to look when you're analyzing a process?
Of course, you start at the beginning, but but,
Okay.
but even before that, you want to identify your processes, right? What are our processes? Um, and the easy way to do that is just to say, what are our departments, right? What are the roles in each department, and
Mm.
what are the tasks for each role, right? Because those tasks are your processes, actually, when you think about it, right? And then a good place to start is with pain points. Where are we having issues? What are people complaining about? What are our customers complaining about? What internal complaints do we hear over and over, operations wise? What are people always complaining about? Why can't we, where is my, why do I not have, right? In phone calls that ask the same questions. Those are, they're pointing you, hey, you need to look at something to stop these negative questions.
That's brilliant, first of all. I mean, keep it as simple as you can possibly do. But
Mhm.
when you break down the hierarchy like that and you say, look, it starts here. What are the departments? What are the roles? What are the tasks they're doing? And forgive me, isn't almost everything we do, shouldn't that be process driven, right?
Well, think about it, Marcia. Um, when you get up in the morning, do you get up when an alarm clock?
Yeah.
So, okay, so the alarm goes off, right? Here's first question. That's the trigger for the process, for your getting up process, right? The trigger is the alarm goes off. Now, immediate question, am I ready to get up, right? If the answer is yes, you turn the alarm off. If the answer is no, you uh,
Hopefully hit the snooze.
hit the snooze button, right? So then the process will start over again. 5 minutes later, it's going to go off again, right? So hopefully this time you get up. And then what's the next step after you
Mm.
get up, right? We all have, we may not do the same things, but we all have that getting up in the morning process. So in my mind, everything is a process, everything.
Ah, I love it. And that's where I think when you look at a business and my goal is everything I do increases revenue or boost growth for the ultimate goal is selling your company. When
Mhm.
they're buying your company, they're buying your processes.
That's right.
So this is where the value comes in and why I keep thinking this is so darn important to have. But I have to say, I love the idea that you equated it to getting up because we all do it, except for
Mhm.
that one day that we don't
Mhm.
get up.
Right.
We're all going to get up each morning. We all have our routine thing. But when we look at this, what happens is business owners go, I can't do it. It's
Mhm.
too much work. What do you mean
Mhm.
I got to write down everything I do? It's all up here.
Mhm. Mhm.
So how do we get it out of up here on
You
the paper of sort?
you help them to see the value in it, right?
Mm.
Especially like with your clients. Their business becomes more valuable when processes are documented. Because think about it. If you're selling the business, you're selling it for a reason. You don't want to do it anymore. You want to go do something else. And the people that are buying it, they don't want to be bothered with you, you know? So if you can say, here's how we do things, and it's documented, and all of the employees know exactly how to do what they need to do. It's easy to train people because
Mm,
everything is documented. You can ask more for your business when you're selling.
isn't that the truth?
Yes, yes, yes. But it's
I love
tedious.
it.
It's tedious, Marcia.
Okay, so are there easier ways of doing it that aren't so tedious that we can get the processes out of the business owner and the team players? Because the members all have, the employees all have processes they do as well.
Right, right.
How do we get that out of their heads?
Well, you can't get around tedious. You can't get around it, right?
Okay.
You just have to focus on the positive outcomes of
Mm.
doing it. What are the positive outcomes? And if you can, when people start to get tired from it being so tedious, you have to remind them what's the positive outcome of doing this? That's where we're headed. That's what we have to stay focused on, is the positive outcome. So I have to be, I'm honest with my clients. I always tell them this is very, very tedious, right? There's no magic bullet, there's no magic pill.
There's
It's
no AI that can make this happen for you. No craziness.
no. So you just have to be willing to sit down and do it.
Okay. So is there you mentioned flow charting, right? So
Mhm.
is that an easier way to kind of visualize what you're doing, or is that the hierarchy breakdown of the roles and the departments and that kind of stuff?
No, the flow charting is you're actually flow charting the process,
So
right?
tell me more about that, please.
The key to flow charting is to establish the boundaries, right? What triggers the process? What is the process in, right? You have the boundaries now. And then now that helps you to establish, okay, who needs to be in this flow charting session? Because
Mm.
you want to make sure you have the right people in the session, right? The people that do the work in the process, the people that are impacted by the process, and the people that feed the process.
Ooh,
Now remember, I said it's tedious, right? So you don't want to have to repeat things. So you want to make sure you have the right people so you don't have to go backwards, right?
nice.
Yes. So, and then when you have the right people in the room, you have automatic buy-in. There's no trying to sell them on it because they participated in flow charting it out and identifying where we can improve things. So now they just go do it now, right?
Mm.
So flow charting is critical.
I love that. It makes it easier. Some people are very visual, right? And they're
Yes,
like,
yes,
well, I don't know what I do, right?
yes.
And then if you can get them putting it on a board together, working as a team, going, here's how the conveyor belt works, right? This comes in this way and moves along that way and then leaves out that way. It makes it easier for everybody to see in and go, oh no, wait. That right there is where we have our problem. And Susie Q is supposed to do that, right?
Right, right. And then they also understand how they're all connected,
Mm.
right? Because we tend to think in isolation. Here, I just do this, right? I just do this, and not understanding you have an internal customer. There's because there's a handoff somewhere. When you finish your part, it's going somewhere else. So who is my internal customer? So if you get your internal customer in the session, now they can talk about, hey, when you hand it off to me, I need this, and this,
Ah.
and explain why, and explains what happened when they don't get it. Right? Usually it's coming back to you, hey, you didn't give me. Or if they can do it themselves, they do it themselves. And now they've paused. They can't even do their part yet because they're finishing up what you should have given them. And pretty soon, if that happens over and over and over, you're going to create some animosity within the
Mm.
cross departments. So you don't want to do that. You know?
No, you want to
Yeah.
have a nice working flow with that.
Yes.
I love this idea because it's giving me and it's hopefully given the audience, that visual connection of why this is so important
Right. Right.
and where you can start to see where the gaps fall through.
Right.
And like I said originally, everything's a process from the second we wake up.
Yes.
We do those repeatable things.
Right.
And okay, so So you're thinking flow charting and putting it up on the board and getting the team members together. What happens when you have somebody that doesn't necessarily follow the process and they're kind
Well,
of doing that rogue thing? They're off doing, well, I do it this way because that's the way I want to do it.
I've been a rogue, Marcia. So the question to ask is why, right?
Mm.
Why do you do it that way? Because their way might be the best way, actually, you know. So versus saying, hey, you just want to do what you want to do. No, their way. So just ask why. Why do you do it that way? And let them explain. And then the only criteria I have for that rogue is the way you're doing it the best way for everybody involved, right?
Are your podcast guest appearances leading to real business, or are you just hoping that listeners will take action? With the Profit Booster Podcast Monetization Hub, we turn your interviews into lead generating machines so that you capture, nurture, and convert listeners into paying clients. So stop leaving money on the table and get started today at profitboosterpod.com.
Right.
I love that because now you're asking them to give positive input
Mm-hmm.
that says, ooh, how can we make this better?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when you
Mm-hmm.
can make it better, you can make it more profitable too. It
That's
might
right.
be, oh, we only need two people to do this, not three.
Right.
Or oh, well, that supplier it keeps breaking down, so we need to get a different supplier.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I mean, it
Right.
creates opportunities.
Right. 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 Right.
Good stuff.
That's why you have all of these people in the room, so you can hear all of these different reasons. They can explain, and it's just magic in
Mm.
my, you know.
Of course it is. I can see why you love this part of
Yeah.
pulling these things apart and then asking those crazy questions. Why?
Yep.
Why are you doing it this way? Why would we
Right.
like to do it? What happened when? It's those it's those crazy W questions and the how,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, that make things run smoother and better.
That's right.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I'm a fan of going through and looking at, even if we're looking at our spending, right? Income minus expenses equals profit.
Right.
Simple math.
Right.
But people don't often look at their expenses and review them often enough. So I ask my clients to let's go through them quarterly.
Okay. Okay.
When we're looking at operational processes, right? Very similar to, even looking at your expenses. How often should we review our processes and look for opportunities to improve?
There's a couple of answers, Marcia. One is the what you hear people say most often, at least every 6 months, right? But I say do this, Marcia. Most people have team meetings, right? So in the team meeting, ask the question, are your processes still working for you?
Mm.
Right? And if somebody says, hey, I wish we could do, now you have an opportunity to change something right, right now.
Ooh. Why wait,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
I love it.
yes.
So one of my guests a couple years ago gave me the idea and I just got excited with it. That the person that's doing the process, you give them a little time each month to review what they're doing. Paid time, right? You say,
Mhm.
okay, the third Friday of the month or the fourth Friday of the month, you're going to review one of your processes and come back for a way for us to improve. I'm going to pay you the hour. If you get done early, then that's great, whatever. But it's like it encourages them and you reward them for their
Mhm.
creativity
Mhm.
of making your company much better, run
Right,
better, smoother,
right,
faster, stronger, less expensive.
right, 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 right. I would say I like that, right? I like
Right?
that.
Feel
And
free to steal it. I stole it.
no, I would say make sure when you're reviewing your process that you take into consideration who's connected to you
I
in that
like
process,
that.
right?
On
So you,
either side,
mhm,
right? Who's giving it to you
mhm,
and who are you
mhm.
giving it to
Right,
afterward?
right. Because if you're thinking about changing something, you have to
Mm,
make sure you don't negatively impact somebody, right?
that's smart.
Yeah.
But then if you get then in my mind, then you need to get the whole department in play, right?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
there's one leads to another and you got the daisy chain that's going down the
right.
road.
Right. So if you tell that person, hey, review one of your processes,
Come
take
back and give us some ideas.
so the process is that person goes through the same exercise, right? Um, who's feeding this process and who's connected to this process, right? Who's impacted by this process? To remind themselves, I need to make sure I talk to these people. Hey, here's what I'm thinking about. Let's get together. Here's what I'm thinking about. We can change. So let's flow it out. Whiteboard, y'all flow it out, and we can talk about it to make sure we don't negatively impact anything.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah.
So business owners, here's the little grain that I think you're missing is that you get your employees to do the process building and the process improving for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not having that you have to do it.
Right,
They're already doing the process, so ask them to improve the process for you.
right, right,
Love that idea.
right.
I think the other side that one of my other guests came to me and said was when they have their new solution, right? They're not just complaining about the problem. When you come to me with this new process improvement, you're coming to me with the solution and the
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, now it's not, the open door thing where you come in and if you got a problem, well, don't just come in with the problem, come in with the solution you think
Right,
would fix it.
right, right, right. I, I have this saying, Marcia. Most people come to work to do a good job. Mo-
Yeah.
Most people do. Every once in a while, you get a knucklehead that wants to do what they want to do, but most of the time, people come to work to do a good job. So they're always thinking about how can we be better? How can I do this? How can we make this better so we
Mm.
can do more, accomplish more? And usually the employees already know the little tricks to make things work. They're just waiting for somebody to ask, really.
You know what? And I think in today's workforce, they want to be involved, like you said. They're
Mhm,
looking to participate and add value and be
mhm,
recognized, and it's not always the paycheck that you reward them with. It's the, wow, you actually saved us an hour of production and $100,000 on that. Guess what? You get Friday off. I mean, whatever it is that they want in a
right,
reward, and
right,
that recognition that
right.
everybody wants that kind of stuff.
That's right.
And I
That's
think
right.
that boosts the morale as well when they're not always complaining about it.
Right.
Someone said, yeah, we were the lady was complaining because her back kept hurting because we kept making her pick up the thing and put it in the box. Right. And he said, so the next thing we did is we put the box on the floor and built it around the thing so she didn't have to lift it up. So it's just thinking
Yes. Yes.
better
Yes.
about the process that you're doing that
Yes.
ultimately leads to more profitability.
Right. And just asking the people in the team meeting, are your processes still working for you? Right. It's
Yeah.
just so easy. Just ask, and they'll tell you
Oh,
when
sure
they
they
know
will.
when they know you're serious about wanting answers. They'll tell you. They will.
And the flip side to the owner is be open to new ideas.
Yes.
I was in a meeting recently and I was asked for my opinion, and that person didn't like my opinion and got really ticked off on it. And I'm like, well, buddy, there's a problem, first of all. Second of all, you're the problem, not me for saying it. But
Right.
that happens out there. So we want bright ideas. We
Right.
want forward thinking
Right.
from our employees,
Right. Right.
because if they're thinking on how to make a better mousetrap, it's only going to make me more money as the owner.
That's right. That's right. Allow the brain power around you to be an asset. You know,
Yeah,
don't be one where you think
my
you have
way
to
or the
have all the
highway.
answers, right? You have to have all the answers, and then some people are just control freaks.
Well, not a complete control, but
Yeah,
yes.
you know. So when you have an environment that encourages employee input, things run better. You know.
Oh, I agree 1,000%. And looking at your processes from accounting to customer service to sales to
Yes.
marketing to
Yes.
delivery
Yes.
to follow. I mean,
Look at
everything,
everything.
Errol, everything is a
Everything.
process.
Everything, Marcia. From marketing, right? The purpose of marketing is to create leads, right? So when you get a lead, where does that lead go? How do you get the lead, right? Could it be from a phone call? Could it be from your website? Okay, so you need to flow that out. What happens when a person hits submit? What happens? Does the website say something back? Thank you for, and then where does that lead go? Who gets it? And then what do you do with it? And then how much time do you have to do? I could go on and on and on. See,
But it's perfect. And until you open your mind, and
hmm
I love the flow charting, whether it's on a grease board, whiteboard, or
hmm
piece of paper, or you get
hmm
one of those little mind mapping apps
hmm
that you can
hmm
do. But
hmm
once you do that, you start to see where the gaps are.
Yep.
And if you got a gap, you're losing money because it's a hole, it's a leak
Yep.
in your funnel
Yep.
of sort,
Yep. Yep.
of everything that you're doing in there. And that leak is costing you money.
It's your money. Yes. Yes.
Are
Yes.
we the only two crazy people on the world that are excited about
There's a
processes?
few, there's a few more of us. I've
Oh,
met a
good,
few.
good. Because I mean, this kind of stuff really, it is really basic stuff, but I know that most business owners are so busy chasing customers and putting out fires that they
Mm-hmm.
don't take this time. And
Yep.
I hate to use the phrase everybody uses, oh, work on your business instead of in your
Mm-hmm.
business,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes time to do this. So I would encourage, and I know you're on it with the ask everybody at the regular meeting,
Mm-hmm.
but carve some time out.
Yep. I encourage people to do one a week, right? Do
That's
one.
easy.
Most people that get excited about it, they try to just, we're gonna do this, 10 or 15 a week, and I'm like,
Yay.
wait.
One.
Start with one. Pick a pain point, right? And work on that process and make it flow it out, make it the best that you can get it, right? and
Yeah.
then and then move to your SOP of creating, because the flow chart is just the what. What steps are we taking to get this task done? And then when you get to create the SOP, you go back to the flow chart. Okay, let's look at the flow chart and find the steps where these are action steps, right?
Mm.
And that's what you create the SOP from. How do you do this action step? So the flow chart is really the foundation of it, in my mind, the foundation of everything. So
Brilliant.
it's just fun.
Brilliant.
It's just fun.
It is fun. It's fun for me too. So I'm with you. We're the crazy ones. But
Mhm.
but if you think about it though, most people fear change.
Mhm.
And if
Mhm.
you're running saying I'm going to change 30 of these this month, then you're going to cause an uprising, right? But if you do one a month or one a week
On a
or
week.
whatever your little incremental change can
Mhm.
be,
Mhm.
they're going to snowball on each other, and you're not going to shake up the workforce by going, "Oh, what you did yesterday, we're not doing it anymore. We're going to do it this way,"
Right.
which is normally the way it comes down, right?
Right.
But you're getting their input and they're working through the changes, and now they buy into it.
Right. Right.
And then the change isn't so up leveling.
Right. Right. And then now you get everybody together, you flow it out. Okay, here's how we're gonna do it now. They
I
say,
like it
okay,
this
because
way.
they participated, right? Okay, so now you can come back and say, okay, how is that working? Right?
You mean check back?
Yes.
What?
How is that working? Just to gauge how things are going since you've tweaked it, because that's all you're doing is tweaking, right? How,
Yeah.
how's that working? To get that feedback, and they might say, hey, maybe we can do a little more of this right here, or hey, wait a minute, maybe we should do. So now it gets even better.
Or even the flip side of it, that didn't work. That caused
Yep.
all these problems over here. Let's
Yep. Yep.
revert back,
Yep.
which you always can go back, right?
Yep.
I've got a client that changed her phone system and the office hated it. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. And on the call the other day, she goes, "You still got those phones, right?"
Mhm.
So the opportunity to go backwards and then find a different path, right?
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
always an opportunity.
Yep, yep,
Always.
yep. Just check in. That's all you gotta do is check in. Just check in. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Errol, this is so much fun.
Yes, it's
Oh my
fun.
gosh, right?
Yes, yes.
So would you ever imagine people saying processes are fun?
No, because
Well,
most people don't see it that way, right? It's not
right.
until you really start to get in there and flow things out with them, and they start to see the magic that they want to do more, right? They
Yeah.
want to do more and more and more. Then it becomes fun.
Oh, it's exciting.
Yes.
It
Then it
really is.
becomes,
And from the business owner side, the bottom line side,
mhm.
you know, it's only beneficial.
Right.
And it may even be a little painful in the first step, right?
Right.
Oh, well, we got to change providers and oh, this is
Right.
going to happen. But you know
Right.
what? If you spend $1 now and you save $5 next month and $5 next month and $5 next month and $5
Mhm.
next month, spend the damn dollar.
Yeah. And
It just
and
makes
then
it.
see one, and then you should tie. You hear people talking about KPIs, right? Key performance indicator, right? So now you can connect KPI to your processes, right? What how
Mm,
now you can measure, right? What's the KPI for this process, right? Um, Going from sales to operations. Well, you get a sale, now you need to onboard that whatever a new client. How long should it take to onboard a new client? You
mm,
know, so you can measure that now, right?
yeah.
When they're triggered to onboard that new client, how long is it taking now, right? So what's the goal actually? Is it same business day, within 2 business days? What is it? So now you can measure how well things are going. And if you set realistic KPIs, then you can ask yourself, is there something else we need to do to this process to meet that KPI goal, right?
Mm.
So there's just so much connectivity, and
Uh,
I love it,
it's
Marcia.
I know it's fantastic.
Yes.
I love the thought process on it. And I even more importantly love the bottom line of it and how it improves everything
Mm-hmm.
from all the employee morale to the
Mm-hmm.
bottom line
Yep.
and how much more money you can put in your pocket
Right.
if you do this little step of just making sure your processes are running well. So,
Right.
all right, Errol. We can have a lot of fun and keep going on this, but time is our enemy here.
Oh,
How
we
can
know.
listeners find out more about you and Errol Allen Consulting so they can, get their processes under control?
You can certainly visit my website, errolallenconsulting.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Errol Allen. You can email me, errolallenconsulting.com. Um, I You can
Do you have
schedule.
anything cool for us that will help us manage these process updatings?
Well, so far as the mapping, flow charting part, I use Visio. Visio is an easy tool
Hmm.
to flow chart with. It doesn't have to be anything high tech. Simple spreadsheet. Put your processes in there. What you need. What are your processes? Put them in a spreadsheet to make sure you don't miss anything. Um, I also you can schedule a free consultation from my website. And for your listeners, Marcia, I'll even do an hour mapping session for free, if just for your.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's powerful. Thank you very much. Because I
Yes.
know the first time they do it, everybody gets in their head and they're looking at a white screen or a
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
flashing blinker going,
yeah,
where do I start? Right.
yeah,
But if they
yeah.
do it once and they've got someone holding their hand,
Yep,
then it starts to make sense and that's something they can repeat. So
yep,
what a lovely gift.
yep, yep, yep.
Love it. Love it. All right, listeners, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you've picked up some valuable insights and actionable ideas to help you make your business more profitable. And I know just taking a little bit of time each meeting each month, each quarter to look at a process you've got and see if you can fine tune it and make yourself a little bit more running smoother, making your team happier, and making your business more profitable. I know it will be beneficial for you. And if you're ready to simplify your marketing and start getting better results, I would encourage you to grab my free 30-day trial of Profit Booster Marketing Hub. There'll be no tech headaches, I promise, and just smart, streamlined marketing that actually works. So head over to profitbooster.biz and get started today. And don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss future shows. You can always find Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast platforms. We're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thank you so much, Errol. This was so much fun.
You're welcome. Thanks for that.